Hey everyone, college basketball algorithm preview for Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. Great day yesterday. We're working off the new stat algorithm. I'm just throwing the old one away from last year. I don't think there's any reason to touch that anymore after the day we had yesterday. It's definitely giving us some intelligence that's more helpful. So let's talk about the games today. And also, one thing I'd like to mention, if you are watching this and you get a copy of the file and you see that we have a team that looks like it's home, but they're actually not, let me know. That's an error in the odds coming in from RotoWire. And I know this IUP game, I call this the palindrome school. They were actually away against Texas A&M Corpus Christi yesterday. It's still wrong in the file. And as you can see, it was one of them law. Like it affects everything because we have a home bump. So I, I think that was one that was wrong. Point is it's important to get the correct home and away. And sometimes I'm going to be wrong, as I obviously don't check every game. I just copy and paste the stats in from RotoWire. So if they get it wrong, we get it wrong. So if you catch that, please let me know. I notice that when I'm putting in scores sometimes. So today, 39 games on the schedule. First thing to check, we're at 0 home bump right now, which is a way to browse this, but we'll talk about putting on a home bump later. At 0% bump, who are our underdogs that are home? There are 3 of them. It's Air Force, Butler, and Sam Houston State going up against Texas Southern, Michigan State, and Missouri State. All these teams have played at least 2 games. We hit all 4 of these yesterday. Are we going to hit all 3 of these today? I mean, we'll have to get really lucky. We did get lucky yesterday with Troy winning in triple overtime, so don't think we're going to hit this stuff every day. It was a rare occurrence yesterday. But taking these teams with the points, or, if you want to do the 3-team round robin on these money lines, the way we're going, we'll probably hit at least 2 out of 3. We're having good runs right now. So those are the 3 underdog home team pot of gold picks right there. Now, another way I'd like to look at this is let's look at just home teams, because what happened yesterday is we ended up winning the top 25 games in a row, and a lot of them had reasonable lines. So if you're looking at making some big round robins or parlays, you want home teams, obviously, because they are stronger just inherently because they are home, and good lines. So what we see up here is looks like this is a really good line for San Diego over UC Riverside at home. Princeton over Marist is minus 320, but the margin's enormous, which is good. Wagner over St. Peter's is minus 180. Here we start. This is that Air Force game. Boy, how bad must Texas Southern be? Let's take a look just to understand, to make sure it's doing the right things. Let's look at Texas Southern in here. I just want to see what it's doing and why they have such a bad ranking. They're down here. They have no wins. They're 0-3. They're putting up 63 points a game. They're losing by 11. And they have a terrible defensive rating. The higher the defensive rating number, the worse it is. So they have a plus 135 and adjusted rating that's terrible. So they just look like a really bad team. And Air Force, been to the Air Force Academy there in near Colorado Springs, Colorado, I believe, and they're just a better team. Like, see what they look like. Let's go check that out really quick. Air Force has got a 31% rating. They are 1-1. They're not putting up as many points a game. They're putting up 56, but they have. Whoa! Why are all these ratings the same? Ooh, it's kind of weird. Wow, look at that. Why are all those ratings the same? Uh-oh. That's funky. I don't know what's going on here. Why are all those ratings the same? Uh-oh. Really? We have a bunch of 99s? Yeah, they're all right here. Look at this. I wonder if this is an error in the statistical input. This is funky, or some type of artifact of the way that they gauge the adjusted offensive and adjusted defensive rankings. That is weird right there. I'm I'm sketched out. I'm actually going to research this a little bit after the video because I don't like to see that. I feel like that's an error. Weird. All right. Caveats in the video all over the place today. All right. So let's keep going down the list of the home teams. Let's assume that those numbers are good. We've got Texas A&M Corpus Christi at -125 over Denver. That's a good line. Vanderbilt over VCU, but that's now we're starting to get into lines that are not so great down here. But there's that Butler game. There's the Sam Houston game. Oklahoma State over NC State, but we're starting to get really down on this list, although they are home teams. So you can see there's some good stuff up top. Now, how about our away teams? We have 13 away teams on the list. You have to be extremely careful with any of these teams that are below a 20% margin for sure. So what you do here is when you have these games right here and any of these teams are underdogs, okay? So anything below 20% underdogs, like these, for example, Mason, LaSalle, Charles Southern, Lipscomb, and Boston College. You want to consider taking this team. I'm sorry, we don't want underdogs. We want favorites. I'm sorry. I know I'm bouncing around a lot here. We don't want the underdogs on this side. We want the favorites and below 20%, which is just one of them, which is Drexel at St. Joseph's, and it's only a 0.5 spread. I was going to say take this team plus the spread, but that's hardly any points. So there isn't a lot of value here with teams that are away and favorites, because it's tough to see away favorites. I mean, the odds makers understand it's difficult to win when you're away. So looking back at this entire away sheet right here, we can see that this is kind of interesting, which is there's a +800 for Arkansas Little Rock at Loyola Marymount, and they've played 3 and 2 games, and you can get 13.5 points with Arkansas Little Rock. So this is one where Arkansas Little Rock, to win this game, it's going to be difficult. The algorithm's really going to have to pull a rabbit out of the hat, but to cover the 13.5 is probably a very good bet. So you can consider putting that on a round robin. What other underdogs do we have here? St. John's at Indiana. You can get 5 points with St. John's at Indiana. And thinks they're going to put up a lot of points. Apparently they've got some offense this year, so that's probably a pretty good one as well because they have a 31% margin. And you can get Mason plus 11.5. But Maryland's a good team, and you can see the margin's only 13%. So I'd say the cutoff is right below here. And these two with the points are okay, and you're really risking it down here going with these ones for the point. Here's another way to look at that. Let's go with a 15% home bump because that's an average that's usually pretty good. Now, if we look at our home teams and our underdogs, we still have the same 3, so no other home teams jumped up as underdogs with this home bump. So these are really our only 3 pot of gold picks. But what about what about just all our home teams and see if anything else pops up at the bottom with a reasonable line? The answer is no, because I just looked for underdogs, so not really. So more limited day today. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Health factor. So most of these teams are pretty healthy, so this doesn't really come into play, except for this Connecticut at 95%. So what does this mean? Like, I would recommend digging into the injury report to see who's hurt and why. The way you can do that is we have an injury pivot, but we also have, so you can click on Connecticut. Connecticut's right here. And you can see that whoever's hurt on Connecticut it's Isaiah Whaley, and he's got an ankle. Who's playing? No, everybody else is playing. So it's Isaiah's ankle, and you can also see, well, is that a permanent injury or a long-term injury? It'll give you the date of return sometimes. Apparently it doesn't. Player eligibility, team position. Oh yeah, that's the points. No, you actually have to look in a different place. I know I'm jumping around a lot. Sorry, guys. You have to look in a different place. You have to look in the injury sheet here, and was it Whaley? Oops. There he is. He is game time decision. So that was the point of why I went here. Is he's a game time decision, which means it's not a long term days or weeks injury, and he may even be playing today. So when you see a health number that's below 100%, it's a good idea to go check the injury report and see exactly whether or not these players are completely out or whether or not they're game time decisions. All right. So all that being said, I guess we got 3 to have fun with today. Don't go bet the farm just because you won yesterday with the picks. It doesn't work out every day. Be careful. But I do see a lot of value up here. And if you ask me for the one pick of the day, well, to see a minus 130 all the way up here at 70%, it's really San Diego at the minus 130 or even San Diego minus 1.5. I don't like laying points, but they're just so heavily favored to win this game apparently by 38 according to the algorithm. And the algorithm did some good stuff with that yesterday. I mean, we had the Yale game up here. Where's the Yale game yesterday? Moved down a little bit with a 15% bump because they were away. But I had them winning the game by 30. They ended up winning the game by a ridiculous amount, right? Their final margin of victory here in that Yale game was 28, right? At 15% bump, we have them winning by 30. Just amazing stuff that the algorithm did yesterday. So hopefully we can repeat today. All right, good luck, everybody. May all your picks be winning.